This week's John of the Week actually is kind of super exciting. I have a wonderful author, journalist. I'm actually going to let him talk about what it is that he does because he's much better at it than I am. For the record, this is Peter Flax. Peter, how are you?
Great to see you.
It's so good to see you. Likewise. Guys, Peter, friends, it's really nice to introduce you two guys or people together. Peter, can you give our audience a little bit of a background into who you are and why you're this cycling main staple within our culture?
Well, I guess I could tell you where I come from and my connection to bikes. I've been riding and writing pretty much my whole life. I'm a journalist. I'm the former editor-in-chief here at Bicycling in Another Era.
Back in the day here.
I worked at Runner's World, also your sister publication.
Yeah, totally.
I've been passionate about riding for like 40 plus years.
I'm not even 40 yet,
Yeah.
and that's longer than I've been alive, so I get it. Like, I can feel the passion that you have, and that's extremely amazing. I mean, one of the cool overlapping facts, I think, within both of us is you lived here for almost, 10 to 15 years?
11 years I lived in Allentown.
So you know a lot of the good secrets of the Lehigh Valley when it comes to riding.
Yeah, I have ridden all over the world.
Yeah.
Been really fortunate. And I would say, if asked, that this area is like the best area for riding in the world that I've ever been
Heard
on.
it, people, okay?
Yeah.
This man's a world traveler on his bike. I would be saying the same thing. You're saying the same thing.
I mean, I live in LA and the road riding is great in LA. I've lived in the Bay Area, lived in New England. All these places are great, but the way that you can just get on this like endless lattice of country roads that's just got mixed terrain, beautiful scenery.
Amish country is awesome.
It's really terrific. I'm very happy living in California again, but I just miss the tranquility and beauty and rolling terrain of this area.
Would you say it's a little quieter on this side versus out west?
Oh, like 100%. Like I ride all the time, and riding in the LA area is like you're girding up to go to war every time. Like you just have to be ready
for
and just alert and ready for friction. And my memory here was like we had a weird interaction with drivers like twice a year. Like it's just because the volume of people is so relatively low and there's so many roads, it's easy to go somewhere where you can just be fully engaged in just the beauty of the ride. You don't have to worry about whether you're going to get home alive.
Love this. That is our pitch for Visit PA. If you don't know this, Visit PA has great cycling. So yes, come out. Anywho, Peter, that is such an awesome experience because it obviously bonds me to you a little bit more. It helps us kind of understand our riding history a little bit, but can you tell me about this wonderful thing that I'm getting to hold in my hands and really kind of, well, first, let's let the people know what it is. I think that I got an early copy of it, this PDF, but it's this wonderful book called Live to Ride. Can you just give us a small introduction into what's going on?
Yeah, so this is my first book. I've been writing about bikes since the 90s, so a pretty long time, but this is my first book. And this is, for me, like a culmination of the last 10 years of how my riding life changed after I left bicycling and I moved to California. And I really went through a process of like trying to figure out how I fit into bike culture and how bike culture is changing. And so like the main premise of the book is that rather than thinking of bike culture as a bunch of tribes where people sit on different kinds of bikes and wear different kinds of clothes, that we're all interconnected and that there's much more that connects everyone who rides than separates us. And so the book is an exploration of the things that why everyone rides, the emotional qualities that make people love riding.
I'm into this so much, and it really did come across. I'm really excited for you guys to pick up a copy here soon because there's no mention of like if you're specifically a roadie or if you're just a mountain biker. It really takes the core principles or like these overarching pillars of why we all kind of throw a leg over a bike. And just as an example, without giving you guys too much to, ahead of the time, you've done a wonderful job of compartmentalizing these different sections. For example, one that I happen to really love is the adventure section with Lachlan Morton. He has these really beautiful anecdotes and stories from people that we all know and look up to in the industry. And Kyle Kelly, as an example, seeing a photo of him and his partner on the tandem, it's really wonderful. And I guess I'm curious, how is it that you came to acknowledging not necessarily the separations in cycling, but rather how did you come to the place where we all can meet together and put it into these sections in that way?
Yeah, I mean, it was a multi-year journey for me of like thinking about how everyone who rides has these things that bond them, that they're taking up different kinds of riding. You go to a coffee shop and you see the road bikes stacked up. You go to a gravel event and see people who've never raced or done road events showing up. You see pro cyclists caring about advocacy. You see that like everybody wants to connect with nature. And so for me, it was like thinking about what are the things that connect us, like especially in the social media age, there's so much that can just feel like it's segmenting us and pitting us against each other. And so the idea was like, what is it that unifies everyone in bike culture? That was like what I sought to bring out in the book.
The words are literally escaping me because that's the fact of the matter. I mean, when you speak and you speak to the book, and having gone through it, I only have one chapter left, people don't crucify me. It really comes across in this authentic expression of I guess just sincerity and empathy, and that you're giving this or rather not this platform, the bike has given you this platform to really explore all of these different ecosystems, and all of that life can kind of intertangle in the process of it. And just one of the chapters as an example as well, the self-expression one, I mean, you were with Flavor Flav the other day, probably one of the most unique people in our existence to demonstrate the idea of self-expression.
Yeah. I mean, I think on a superficial level, it started with me realizing that when you're on a bike that you can like wear whatever the heck you want, and you can express something in yourself. And then once the culture accepts that, then it becomes this kind of tolerance of like, I want more people who are not like me doing their own thing, and I want to be connected to those people. And I've seen so much of that happening in the last 5 years in bike culture.
Absolutely.
Where even though there may be some friction, it's like, the bigger this tent is, the more people that feel welcome in it and feel interconnected, the more like collective benefit there's going to be.
I call it good friction. It's the good kind of, it's not the friction that we want in our rear derailleur, but it's the kind of friction that makes you and I better as people and really expands where the bike takes us and the conversations that we have. And I think that there were many moments in the book that I walked away having learned a lot and having been reminded of many things. For example, some of your gear choices. One of my favorite gear choices I think that I happen to have come across was, I come from track riding. I think that the Lotus, or excuse me, not the Lotus, the Look 795 that you have in here, it's just an iconic bike.
Yeah, I mean, I think the idea of picking, each chapter has one or two perfect bikes that just capture some sense of like what's the best kind of equipment for that kind of riding. And that like the Look track bike is a perfect example of something that's just super purpose built.
Yes.
It's like no limits.
Absolutely.
It's like an art piece that's meant for the fastest riders in the world. And there are a lot of other bikes in the book that are relatively inexpensive.
The All City one, RIP, sorry, but you get what I mean.
Yeah, it's like trying collectively through all the choices to show just this incredible range of equipment that, like, again, part of that self-expression that like everyone can find these bikes that like suit this side of their personality.
Absolutely. It's like, I mean, again, picking what you're going to eat. You know what you want to eat. I know what I want to eat. What you and I may want may be a little bit different, we're still getting full at the end of the day, and hopefully what it is that's feeding us is bikes. With that, I have one last question for you to wrap up before we head out. What was your favorite part of this whole experience?
I think that I did profiles of about 30 people in bike culture, you know, pro bike racers, advocates, people who've like brought social change to riding culture, and I think it was like, and they're all people I knew already, and to like, so to have these interviews with people and like through their profiles show the breadth and the beauty of like, these are all people who understand there's something like existentially beautiful about riding a bike. And in general, I talk to them about something other than their main area of expertise. Like when I talk to bike racers, we were talking about like utility or self-expression. And I think that like it's the people to me that brought the project to life.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, thank you, community, for helping him make this book a reality, and then also thank you for making this into a reality, because I know I cannot recommend this book highly enough to everybody else in my cycling world, but also it's just a really great book to share with people.
Thanks, and so Live to Ride will be out in mid-March, and I definitely hope people check it out.
Yeah, perfect. So there you go, you heard it. Live to Ride will be out in March. Pretty easy to find the book.
I think it'll be everywhere books and bike books are sold.
Okay, so there you go. That's that, guys. That's this week's Drawn of the Week.